Hello world, this is Ethan Dangerween, a director of dopeness here at the Arts Garage, where we are giving you music, art, and education piped directly to you at home with our series From Our Hearts to Your Home. We have an awesome artist lined up for you. She's going to be showing you how to do some illustrations. She goes by the name of Serafima. Please stay tuned.
Hi everyone, I'm Serafima. I am currently an art teacher at Orchard View Elementary School here in Delray, and I have an awesome project for you guys that has to do with Black Lives Matter and portraiture as well. Now, today's artwork is not my own, but I will show you how to create an amazing piece that looks something like this artwork by an artist named Connor Jade. All right, she has an Instagram account. She goes by Artwork by Chill. And this piece itself is an amazing portrait. It's called I Can't Breathe, and it is a portrait of George Floyd. It's made only by writing the names of African American people who have been killed by police brutality. None of the names on this piece have been repeated. So she had a long list of names that she wrote out to fill in the spaces instead of the lines and the shade areas of his face. It's all names. It's all like a written word art. And some of the names, or most of the names, even overlap each other as well. That's how many names are on her artwork. All right. She's also actually going to be starting a portrait series of oil paintings that are inspired by Chuck Close's work that she'll be coming out with soon. But let's get into our project for today. I am going to be working off of Artwork by Chill's idea and creating a portrait of Breonna Taylor. All right, so there's several ways that you can start this project. You can either use a printed out photo, or and you can put it on a window so that you can easily trace through the light that comes through and capture the edges of the face and some of the details as well, the eyes, nose, and mouth and hair as well. If you have a laptop or computer at home, that can also act as a light table as well, because it emits light out of it. And if you put a piece of paper right onto the screen, especially in a dark room, then you'll be able to see the face and the outline of everything right through the paper, because the screen will act like a light table, similar to an actual light table or similar to a window capturing light through it as well. All right, and for a screen, you can just tape the corners onto the edges of your computer. All right, and for a window as well, you'll need some tape so that your paper stays still. So that's an easy way to recreate the portrait part without having to look and redraw side by side, especially because the more important part of the project is going to be the names that you add into those lines and spaces after you trace the face itself. All right, so other than tape, paper, your image or your computer, you'll need pencil and a nice sized eraser as well. All right, so I am going to set up my Insta light table and trace at least the edges of the face with pencil. If you can do it lightly, it will be better than doing dark lines. because either way you'll be erasing some of those lines later. You'll see why. All right. So just follow along generally, seeing where the lines of the face are. All the details, the eyes, the nose, the mouth. And actually, right here are many names that you're going to be using later to fill in the spaces of the portrait, and any of those people can be your subject as well. You can do a Google search for their names and find the best image that you want to create this memorial portrait of them as well. Don't forget the shoulders if you can see them. Brianna was a wonderful EMT who was unfortunately taken way before her time. As were all of the people on our list. Now, since the artist artwork by Chill never repeated any of the names, there are many other names that you can find online of African Americans who are killed due to police brutality that you can find as well. But I've created just a short list here. All right, so I've already traced the outline of the face. So now I can start the second part of the project. All right. Now, if you have really dark lines that you created, what you're going to want to do is with your large eraser, or if you just have your eraser on your pencil, that'll work too. You want to slightly erase some of those dark lines so that you still see the lines for yourself on your paper, but you don't want them to be dark and bold, because again, the main part of the project is the names rather than the lines of the face. All right. Now, the original artist, Connor, artist by Chill, she filled in a lot of the darkest spaces completely with names. She didn't just go on top of or below the lines. She actually filled in all of the dark spaces with names. Alrighty. So some of the names that I have on my list, on my short list, include George Floyd, of course, and Breonna Taylor, Corey Jones, who was a local wonderful musician who was unfortunately shot down due to police brutality, so I wanted to make sure that he was on this list. Then Philando Castile, Trayvon Martin, Tamir Rice, Michael Brown, Eric Garner, and Ahmaud Arbery. Again, if you can find even more names, add them to your list. and use them to fill up your portrait. All right. So with the hair, I'm going to start with the hair, and because that's such a large, dark space, you can fill up that whole space with names. And you want all the names to be pretty close together as well. You don't want big gaps between the names because you want to make it look like a dark space. So George Floyd, and then Breonna Taylor, and I'm going around the edge of the hairline. In this case, I am going underneath the hairline because I want to fill in inside the hair. When you get to small areas, you can change up the size of your writing as well. You can do large writing to fill up those big spaces, and then, for example, in her hair, you can get smaller and smaller. All right. So Fernando, there's a beret here, so I'm going to go underneath the beret. And I am just writing the names in order. Make sure that you turn the paper as you're going so that you can move with the shape of the hair as well. So I'm always rotating my paper around. Now, the original artist, as I said, she did not repeat any names, but for our project today, I am going to go and restart the list. So on this corner, I'm going to start with George Floyd again, and just keep going down the list again. I'm mostly using these names right now to fill up the space. Okay, and I'll just do this top area here so that I can get down into the details of the face for you to see as well. All right, so generally we have the hair done. Then the eyebrows as well. Again, we want to fill in the space within the eyebrows rather than just the edges of the eyebrows. So next name, Michael Brown. And of course, because the eyebrows are much smaller, you'll fit them in accordingly. And the eyes, the wonderful eyes. She has wonderful eyelashes, so I am going to use the letters a little bit more jagged, almost like her actual eyelashes. For the pupil of her eye, I am going to turn my paper quite a bit and go around the curve of the pupil. Sometimes for these small spaces, I will use a shorter name as well. Just keep going, filling in things. The bottom of her eye is going to have very, very small writing. And especially, it's hard to see maybe while you're working on it, but if you squint your eyes, you'll be able to see the shape of the spaces that you're creating with the names. You'll see them more like shading or lines. All right, so sometimes it's good to squint at your artwork and pretend you're really, really far away from it. Don't forget some of the bridge of her nose. And her nostrils as well. Go this way now. Remember your sizing too. You don't want smaller or thin lines to have really big writing. And vice versa, you don't want big areas to have really teeny tiny writing, because then you'll just have to write more and more names in that space. All right. The lips are always really nice to do, since you can curve your letters with the shape of the lips. Okay, we're almost done with the main parts of the portrait. Moving on to this other eye. And again, I'm going to go around the shape of the pupil down here. Alright, and we definitely want to include her jawline and her chin as well, and parts of her ear too. Alright. You can always look back at the original portrait too and see if there was anything that you missed that can add to your portrait. Since when you're doing your outline, the original outline, you might have missed a few details here and there, like maybe a few wisps of hair. So it's always good to still look back up at your source image as well. And this project could take you more than a half hour, but if you're really quick about it, then you can finish it pretty quickly too. You'll fill in most of your person's hair. I'm just going to skip that area for time's sake, and definitely get in her shoulders right here. Okay, and up into her neck. It's a very different type of art where you're using names or words to create your lines and forms and shapes. Okay. And last but not least for me, I'm going to add in her shirt collar as well. All right, so that's where I'm gonna leave you guys off on for this project. I did create a smaller project with my students at the school recently. That's a little bit more complete, but if you want to make your artwork even more like Connor Jade's I Can't Breathe portrait of George Floyd, then you would fill in the whole background as well. Now, for her background, she also sort of wrote the words "I can't breathe," which is unfortunately both George Floyd's last words, as well as a few other African Americans who lost their lives. They also said the words "I can't breathe" before they were shot. So her words back here are in the negative space. Negative space meaning those are left white, and the background behind those letters is what is filled in with the names. All right, so what you would want to do if you want to create the similar type of background is you would very lightly create bubble letters in the background and just fill in the names around those edges of the letters. All right, to complete all of that and complete the whole dark area of the shirt as well. All right, so even though it's a very somber topic, I hope you do this project wonderfully, and at least it doesn't need a lot of materials, just a pencil, eraser, tape for the beginning part, your piece of paper, and either a printout of the face that you're going for or a laptop in a dark room so that you can trace the edges of the face. Thank you so much for joining me today for creating artwork like the artwork by Chill or Connor Jade, and the portrait of George Floyd or Breonna Taylor or any of the other people that you choose to do a portraits of. Thanks.